Hey y'all, this is TCA Gaming, and in this video I'm going to show you guys a few things that are going up for auction right now, and then we're also going to go over some things that I bought, some pretty cool errors, and then we're going to go through a lengthy CGC submission where I want to highlight kind of the stuff that's better in it, but I'm going to talk about a few different things in it, like why I submit certain cards, and I guess kind of the reasoning behind it. But let's start off with some of the stuff that is up for auction. Now, if you've been watching my eBay store this past week or so, you've noticed that it said sellers away. And this last round, when I went through and clicked my time away, I forgot to uncheck the pause sales. So if you were trying to buy anything, you wouldn't have been able to this past 3 or 4 days or so. So you would have only seen these auction items because those are not blocked. But we don't have too many items, but we do have this cool Mewtwo GX. I think when we did that list before where I was talking about alternate art rares, this is something that I listed as the very first one. But some go back to a few other cards, and I don't completely disagree. But it's kind of hard to tell what is an alternate art now. We have a pre-release Charizard. This one's pulled to 9. That's off of from Evolutions. We have an alt art Charizard. Like, this is a true alt art Charizard V. From Brilliant Stars, we've got a Mega Charizard. This is the secret rare version from Flashfire. You can always tell by that gold right there because you can't always make out the numbers down here, but this is going to be the number 108. The one that's going to have like the gray spot right there, that'll be the number 69, but it'll be pretty much the exact same artwork, color, everything, except for the gold that you see accented around the border right here, and then of course the number will be number 69. Right here we have a Rayquaza V. Alt art, and then we have a pristine 10 Charizard V or Charizard EX from Shiny Treasure. So you got the SAR version of that. Now I did pick up some cards this week. If you guys know Daily Bird Deals, Anthony, he's a pretty cool guy. He's like one of the OG error collectors. Him and Regrading, man, they always have really cool stuff. But if you want to check out Daily Bird Deals on IG, that's what he's under, Daily Bird Deals. But I picked up some of these cards. He gave me a pretty decent deal. We've got the Diglett with the fighting symbol error. You can see it is turned sideways right there, and it does have the new label where it is recognized. Picked up 2 of those. You can see this one has like the old style PSA case. There was a changeover between here and there, but there are some that are in the 3 and 4 cert era that actually have like this old style. So it's kind of weird how some of that worked out. But I think it was it had a lot to do with the pandemic and what was going on there. Did pick up this. This one's not an error. It's just it's a Pikachu. It's a secret rare from Black and White, from the original Black and White, and probably one of the highlights from that set. This is one that people do consider an alt art as well. It is a secret rare, so sometimes it's excluded because of that reason with the gold border, but the Mewtwo that we just saw is also a secret rare, 78 out of 73. This one is supersetted as well, but it's considered a secret rare. Put secret print right there, but it's still a really cool card. It's from Breakpoint. Back in the day, I would sell these things for less than $10 a piece, straight out of the pack. So it's kind of cool to see cards like this make like a break for better pricing. Next up, I picked up this card right here. Some of you probably see what's going on. Some of you probably have no idea what's going on. So I'm going to show you 2 different prints. So these were already in my personal collection. This is a base set Ninetales, and this is also a base set Ninetales, but this one is shadowless. So the shadowless part, much of you probably already know about. However, there is something going on in the picture that maybe you've picked up on by now, but if you haven't, the shadowless and first edition shadowless print runs, they have a black flame that goes in the background right here. And when it was transitioned to the regular and limited, it did not have that. Save for some copies which still have that black flame. So this is considered like a print variation. It's actually pretty rare. I did not have one in a 10. It's not as rare as people thought right when it first was discovered, but it's not been well known for a long time. It's one of those things, kind of like the Krabby Slash, that people have picked up on in later years. But really cool to pick that one up, so I was happy that he did sell that one to me. Also, there's some more. I haven't even opened up the package yet, so we're going to open that here. A lot of times people tell me to open up the package on videos, and I just don't like doing it because it's so loud, but we'll try to get it done. He did send all of these in a box too. I got the gummy on my thumb. I don't have my dad's knife over here right now. And I promise we will get to the CGC submission if you guys are looking for that, but some of this stuff's pretty cool. All right, so we're going to start off with the Execute from Legendary Collection. Now, it doesn't say anything here, but I want you to look at the reverse foil right there. See how the energy, like, so over the energy symbols, like it's not supposed to be hollow. And you can see it with the fire energy. It's not hollow on that. See how close we can get. I do like the fact that I can push stuff up on this camera so you guys can see it. Same thing over here. It's not hollow on there. It's not reverse hollow on that. But they misstamped it here. And what's kind of cool about this is this was not a complete issue print. It was not a complete print issue. So the regular Execute reverse hollow is actually hollow over the energy. So it's like it's an error that wasn't supposed to happen. And then when they tried to fix it, this happened. They actually misstamped the holes for the energies. So you don't have a Execute that is correctly printed. You have an error, and then you have like a corrected error. So it's like they tried to fix the issue where they put hollow foil or reverse foil over the energies, but when they tried to fix it, they actually stuck it in the wrong place. They misaligned the hollow. So this is something that you either there's two different versions. Typically this one goes for a little bit more, but not many people actually know. So I would think that most of the value is going to be the fact that it's a PSA gem mint tin, and there are going to be certain collectors who are going to want both variations, so they'll pay more for something like this. But typically there's not a lot of difference, and the main driving force is going to be just the value of reverse hollows and from Legendary Collection and PSA 10 in general. All right, next up, you guys know about this one. Yeah, I had two of them. You can see right here we have a Butterfree. It says D edition error. It's just an ink bubble that was repeated several times, and if you look at the stamp, you should be able to see that that one looks like a D. So it was coin first edition error. So it's just one of those things that it was just in a very convenient spot. And there's actually an Eevee that has this as well. So the Eevee's a little bit tougher to find. The Butterfree is pretty common. But I thought these being offered out to me was pretty cool. I used to do errors almost exclusively just because I thought that they were more unique. And I really like them. They intrigue me. All right, so let's move on to the CGC submission. We're going to start off. I'm pretty much going to show you guys the highlights, save for some cards like this. I'm going to just show you, like, most of the stuff that you're going to see is going to be like the Gem Mint 10, the Pristine 10s. However, there are lots of misses, 9.5s, 9s, you know, lower grades as well. Typically, I don't have too many below like a 9, especially on modern stuff. But I'm going to show you guys some of the misses as well, especially with like some of the vintage stuff. But for the most part, this is going to be mostly modern. And I'm going to show you guys kind of like the cooler cards. Like this is a Master Ball Jolteon, hit a 9.5. Probably would have been better just to sell this as a raw mint card or near mint. But, you know, I went for it. I made a shot, and, you know, it just kind of bounced off the rim. All right, we got a Regigigas here. I did grade pretty much any Master Ball that I had trying to get the Pristine 10 that I thought had a shot. So I do have several in Pristine 10. I'm not going to show all of them. I am going to show a few of them. Thought the Zero Aura was nice. Now this is a bigger hit for the Master Balls. Pulled the Glaceon. Of course, anything that's like an Evolution. And I actually hit 2 of those. I want to say that there may have been another Evolution that I hit in a Pristine 10 for the Master Ball. Alakazam, I always like Alakazam just because we don't see many of those, or we haven't in the past. Maybe we will see more of them going forward, especially since his name has been released, or Kadabra has been released, so Alakazam can actually be somebody who evolves from something going forward rather than a basic Pokemon. I did get back, I had a few of the Journey Together cards in here. This is a submission that went through fairly quickly. I still have stuff there from February that I sent in, but this one, it just pushed through pretty quick. And like I think most of my PSA stuff, man, it's really backlogged. I did send in some of the Gem Challenge cards, the non-hollows, as well as some of the Fossil 1999-2000 non-hollows, just to see if I could pull a couple Pristines. But I'll show you the grades that I got up there. See, there's a 9.5. That's a Slowbro on the brick wall there. It's a nice touch when Pokemon, you know, adds in, you know, cool little things like that. I did regrade the Brock's Ninetales. It is in this submission, so you guys will get to see that. There's Sabrina Psyduck. Got the Misty Seal. Pulled a 9 on the Cocoon. I always really liked this artwork. I thought it was cool, just the way the Beedrill was popping out of the shell. Got Max Revive, Blaine's Charmeleon. That would have been a really nice pristine 10 if I could get that one. Did pull 1 pristine on the Gambler. This is these are all the 1999 2000 versions. If you guys noticed, a lot of those that were in my shop, they had pretty much disappeared. It's mostly because, well, I mean, I don't know, there may be an uptick in people wanting them, but I sent most of that stuff to Dan, so he was auctioning those off because I had a decent backstock where I've been grading them. But there are some left. It's just now when they sell through, I'm out. This will be a small restock, but I don't even think I have any of those Fossil Red logo packs left anymore. So this might be the last of what I have until, you know, I just stumble across a collection. A lot of nice Gem Mint 10s, not too many pristines. Did have some that, you know, weren't quite in the up in the 10 range. Now I did try to include any special art rare, or like gold secret rare. If I pulled a pristine, I try to throw it in the stack just to show as a highlight, because I don't know much about like these art rares that take off. Some of them just seem to just randomly have spikes in price, and I don't follow that well. So I assume most of these are just like $30 cards. You know, some of them might be in the $50 range. Some of them might be a little bit less, but it's pretty cool to see, you know, certain artworks. Like I think I stuck 2 or 3 of those in there. But like this right here, of course, this is an art. This is a reverse hollow shiny treasure EX card, but I like it. I like the way that Giovanni is in the picture. He's kind of popping out. It's a reverse hollow, and I got a pristine 10. But you know, that doesn't always happen. You know, if I had pulled a 9 on that card, you know, that would have been a bust. You know, there's going to be somebody. There's going to be a buyer out there for that in a pristine 10. Like this one right here, I really like the Paul Dean Tauros, the fire type one. And so I tried to get a pristine on it. I didn't get it. I got a Gem Mint 10. So there's probably still a buyer here for the 10. But, you know, I'm not going to make much money on something like that. I do grade like the baby shinies. Did pull some of those in a 10. Did get a few full art pristine 10s. I don't know how much a Squawkabilly goes for. But I like to keep a lot of variety in my store. So I will grade cards that a lot of people typically want if I have a decent variety, like access to it, and I can throw it in with a bulk order. Now this Inzarua, you know, I did get a pristine 10 on it. I think that's a really high grade for this Elite Trainer Box promo. But, you know, I graded a lot of these. Well, maybe not, maybe like 50. I mean, it's a lot, but it's not like a ton. You know, I didn't open up a crazy amount of these. And I think I had 3 pristine 10s. I had a good amount of Gem Mint 10s, and then there were a lot of 9s, 9.5s, 8.5s, and so forth. So there's a lot of those that, you know, they miss. You know, I'm showing you the pristine, but know that there are other grades as well. Brock's Ninetales, I did have the 8 before, upgraded to a 9. I think 9 is a fair grade for it. I thought 8 was low. I don't see it getting a 10 just because of the centering, but overall the condition is really good. I did hear back, I can't remember what the card was, but somebody who had opened up a gym challenge from this break did end up pulling a PSA 10 off of something. Might have been off of 2 cards, but I can't remember what it was. Dark Persian. So I used to sell these mounted on flyer, but I noticed that like even the 8s and 9s were like twice as much as what I was selling for these, like being originally mounted on the flyer. So I took a chance and I pulled some of them off because the gummy strip was still pulled off clean from the card, but there was like a small indentation. It was very light on some of them. So what I did was I put them in a card saver, semi-rigid, and I just basically smashed them in between 2 things that were heavy, a bunch of them all at once, and I left them there for a few months, and I sent them off, and I did pull a few 10s, which is nice, but for the most part, they were like 7.5 to 9, and I'm going to show you guys those grades just so you can kind of see. You can't really see the indentation there, but you make it out slightly the way that the light flashes on it. I don't know if you'll be able to see it on the back side, because they were light as it was, and I pressed out much of it with just, you know, just putting them between I don't think it was books. I think I set them below like a shoebox full of graded cards because that was weight, but I put them, you know, I kind of stacked them up together, but that seemed to get most of it out for the ones that did have like that indentation. There's an 8.5 and there is a 9 there. But it wasn't like a crease or a bend or anything like that, but you could make it out on the card itself. And when I decided to send them off, you could tell that, you know, it had changed quite a bit. It started to flatten. Now these right here were actually from a theme deck. Some of you might know that. So what I did was I tried submitting them before as like a stained card, but because of the sticky residue on there, I couldn't. So I tried like water over and over and over again, but you got to be like real careful with water because like you can get like water stains on them. But I was able to pull the glue, most of the glue off of there to where it didn't have a sticky surface, and I submitted them because I didn't want to I don't want to throw them away, but then I don't want to sell them. So I just had these stack of, you know, Mewtwo's, mostly Mewtwo's, because I opened up the Zap decks looking for the Ghost Pikachu, and you can see the stain is still there right down the middle of the card, and pulled a 3.5, you know, probably mostly because of that stain. You can see like where the stain actually eats through to the hollow foil in many cases. I've had better luck with some of these in the past, pulling up to like 7s, because they are really clean. Like, I don't think there's any way other than to describe these as damaged mint cards. Like, I mean, I'm not sure how else you would describe them, but yeah, you can see it right there. I mean, it's like clean all the way around. The surface looks great on the back. The surface, other than where the stain is, I mean, looks really nice on the front. I mean, it's just where that glue was, and unfortunately, you know, that's just a reality of all of these shadowless decks from back in the day. This was 3.5. This one got a 4.5, maybe because it had less surface issues. But overall, not that great, but still they're graded now, and I can feel confident, if some buyer does buy them, that they'll see that there's something wrong with the cards, and they're not, you know, minty as they might look on camera or as like a print error. This is just a regular reverse hollow Japanese Iron Thorns. I grade cards like this because I believe that there are buyers out there for them. Now, I did have a bunch of special art rares that I had just accumulated from basically looking for the evolutions when I was opening up a bunch of boxes, just trying to get God packs and trying to see if I could find those, try to get fleshed out like the pull rates on that kind of stuff. And so those were just sitting in a box, and I decided, you know what, let me just send them all. I'm only showing you the pristines, but there were a lot of Gem Mint 10s, 9.5s, and that's mostly because the ones that were really nice, like the evolutions that I thought could get the pristine, I had already sent off, or if I thought that, you know, they might get a PSA 10, I sent some there as well. And so the ones that were not like the evolutions, I didn't really do much with. I just let them sit there. But like, here, let me show you. So like these right here, you can see with these Flareons, I knew that these weren't going to get the pristines, most likely not the PSA 10s either, pretty much because of the centering. The condition is going to be great, but the centering is just going to be far enough off to where it's not going to get that 10. And you can see I had 3 of those in a row that were 9.5s. This Vaporeon centering is a little bit better, but still I knew that it wasn't going to get that pristine, but did pull the Gem Mint 10, so that's nice. Same thing with Eevee. Centering was most of the issues for like any of the evolutions that I submitted like that, and then or I hadn't submitted before, but then I submitted with this one. And then of course anything that, you know, it's a golden Sudowoodo. You know, it's a pretty cool artwork, but I didn't think that, you know, this would be anything that would see a significant uptick in trying to submit it quickly. So I just held these for a while, and I had several of them, I believe. I don't know if they're all in here, but yeah, here's another one. Sounds like my stack fell over from the box. Iron Valiant, or I kept saying Gardevoir. It's like a Gardevoir Gallade. And of course, you guys know how I feel about the masks if you've been in any of the streams. Now, this is pretty cool. We've got an English pristine for a full art Prismatic Evolutions Melee, or Mela. Is it Mela? Mela? I don't even know how you would say that. It's 4 letters and it's English. It shouldn't be complicated. There's a Janine's Foot. I don't show too many like regular full arts, but there are a decent amount of them. Got that stack back up. Here are, I'm not even sure why this one's in this one. That might have should have been another one, but oh wait, it's English. This is an English Master Ball. Pulled a 10 off of that. A lot of times, I mean, it's a whole lot harder to get that pristine on the English side. So sometimes Gem Mint 10 is about as good as you're going to get. And if you go for the pristine, then, you know, you're going to pay up quite a bit. Did pull a pristine there with the Espeon EX. I grade cards like this. Like, this is just a Zapdos from VMAX Climax. Probably not even worth 25 cents. But cards like this, it's a legendary bird. You get it in a pristine. Like, you could sell this for 20, 30 bucks. Maybe more in time once, you know, the hollows are just a little bit more scarce. So if I see a card like this and it looks like just really nice, very clean, and you know, it's hard to analyze everything like this. You know, what happens is I'm going through just like a handful of cards and I notice I'm like, hey, this looks kind of nice, and I set it aside. When I have just a bunch of bulk, I'm not looking through all those cards. Those are probably just in a box. They'll end up getting sold raw. But if I just happen to stumble across something that I think would have a decent value, if it was graded and it pulled a pristine and it looks like it's got a good shot, I'll go ahead and grade it. It doesn't always hit like that though. Umbreon V, same kind of deal. You see this Charmeleon. This is where I had regraded a few cards. So I had busted out maybe 10 or 15 CGC cards that I thought were undergraded. I ended up only submitting like 5 of them because 10 of them were like, I found why that they were graded low. But this was one that I believe was a 6. Same thing with this Charmeleon here. Those were both 6s, but you can see they went to a 10. Like, I thought that they were really clean. I mean, let me show you. I mean, there's really nothing there. I mean, these are clean cards. They had come straight out of a theme deck. And for Charmeleon, you know, there's a pretty significant value difference between even like a 6 and a 9. But if you can get if it's got a 10 shot, then you know, you might as well go for it. This is the same thing here. This was a 6. There were a bunch of 6s for the fighting energy, but I just regraded 1 because there's not much difference between a 6 and a 10, especially if you're trying to factor in like the grading cost itself. I want to say this was an 8.5, so I kind of did bad on this one. This has come from one of the starter decks. I still think that, you know, I want to say maybe it's because it looks like there's a line going down here. You can kind of make it out there from where it just sat in that plastic case. But other than that, it's a pretty clean card. It is OC a little bit. I thought it was going to do better than the 7.5 because it was, I want to say, an 8.5. So it's kind of downgraded. But, you know, sometimes you win those things, sometimes you don't. All right. We still got one more row. I know it's like I said, I told you it's going to be kind of long. Just going through different things. Here's some more of the pristine masks. There's a Dragapult. I probably should try to see if I can get all of the special art rares in pristine 10 for Terrestrial Festival. I can't be too far off at this point. There's a Palafin, a couple Palafins. These will be for sale, Peturant. I just got to get them scanned in. I like my scans way better than CGCs or PSAs. I just don't think that they zoom well. They don't do color well. It's like they're washed out or something. Iron Hands. There's one of the gold cards. Got a Terrapagos. Goldingo. There's another one of them. What was that, 4 of them we've had? I do have some stuff that was rejected here at the very end. It's not all just Japanese modern. Another Master Ball on the Vaporeon. That was a nice one. We got the Croconaw. There's a shiny treasure. I do grade some regular EXs like that. I told you guys I like Alakazam. Sometimes I'll do a handful of Pikachus. This is one of the ones that pulled us in. There's your Lugia. Any big name cards, Lugia, Gengar, Charizards. If I get those in nice condition, I'm probably going to grade them. Like, this is a Slowking EX. I mean, who really wants one of those in a pristine? But I tell you, there are collectors. There's people who want stuff for the whole set. It's a Dunsparce. If you see that labeled as Dunsparce in my store, I am sorry. Sometimes I mess that up. Ooh, that stack's too big. Here, in fact, let's do this stack here. I did grade all of the regular EXs, all the evolution ones. I'm probably not going to be as competitive on the pricing for these because I think that in time these will be nice, especially in sets of 9. And these I have volume for because I graded a bunch of them. All the SARs that you saw that I had, think about how many evolution EXs, because you're going to hit a few of those probably every box. And I hit several pristines, hit several regular 10s. In my very first few submissions, I hit a lot of 8s, 9s, and it was kind of painful. There's a full art Lycanroc. Again, another just holographic that I think it's got good artwork. It's a good Pokemon that people, it's one that's just very popular. It's a popular species as well. And, you know, it's from the original. I think that's a bonus. And so it's just a cool card. You know, if you can find it in decent condition, it's worth the grade. Even this right here, this is a Magikarp. Not even hollow. It's a common Japanese Magikarp. You know, it's probably doing flop right there. Who knows? Or splash. But I think that there's a buyer for something like this. So I'm not going to like mass grade those kind of cards, but I will throw in some here or there. It gives variety to my store, and it might appeal to certain collectors. Even just regular reverse hollows. These are all just the evolutions. I think I only hit 1 pristine on each one of these, so that's what you're seeing. Did pull 1 for the Umbreon, but I think I graded 3 or 4 of those. That's something where if I had 10 of, you know, I'll probably grade all 10 unless I see that something is like significantly off center. So here's something that was rejected. I wanted to have these relabeled. I've tried like 2 or 3 times, but I actually got an explanation this time. I talked to Matt. So I was like, why are these not being labeled as a ghost stamp? Because if you look right here, like there's clearly printed on here staff, but there's no gold lettering for staff. And I had 5 of these originally, 2 sold without me even realizing what they were. And so I was like, so why can't you grade these? And he said it was easily replicable. I kind of disagree with that, especially since it's printed staff. Like you can see the shadow staff on there. Like who's going to do that with a Piloswine? He said that like the staff, like lettering can be printed on there, but you can remove it. And to me, I would, you know, if that's the case, I would think it'd be easier to print than to remove it without actually having, because there's no indentation here. Like here, I'm gonna try to get this flashed. Like it's a smooth surface, so you can see like with the pre-release, if somebody was skilled enough, I guess, to remove all that without damaging the card, it would be, you would see it. A lot of times you can even see it on the back side. Yeah, like you can see it right there where it's been pressed through all the way to the back side. On some of it, you can see the Pokeball as well. So I don't think it's actually that easily replicable, and I don't think this is something that people would want to do. These come from a sealed pack of 5, and so I know that it wasn't. But also at the same time, this is something that both BGS and PSA grade. They said that it's not something that they do. Maybe they're just more strict on that, kind of like with autos. They like to only do in-person stuff or like verified events, you know, that kind of stuff. But I know PSA has done the Tentacruel, because there was a ghost stamp version of that. There were at least 7 copies I know of that were out there in circulation at one point, and those were graded. They do grade the card itself. They just don't recognize the fact that it's a ghost stamp. So I guess I'll just have to do my own advertising for that. I am very confident that these are completely legitimate. But I also kind of get it from CGC standpoint. Right now, they're going to be very cautious with probably doing anything that's like unique like that they can't completely verify, especially after prototype stuff and everything that's going on with that, still going on with that. And then lastly, I had these right here. So I had 3 cards that I wanted to try to cross, and you can see that they typically do not accept services other than PSA, BGS, or SGC for crossover. Like this Chansey right here, I think I'd said minimum grade 9 on it, because it's a 10, but when I looked at it, I was like, I think that this is probably closer to a 9. There might have been like, you can't really see it too much on here. Maybe if I zoom in, there's like a little white dot down there. And I would have been fine with this going down to a 9, even though it kind of looks really nice with the 10. I was wanting it in their holder. And then this one right here, I thought did look pretty good. This was a Typhlosion. I thought that could get a 10. And same thing with this one. This one I was okay with like a minimum grade 9 on. While like the back looks really clean. They almost always do with the Neo Genesis stuff. It's just like the print lines. There's a few obvious print lines. It's hard to pick up on in this light, but they are there. And so I was okay with this downgrading. Yeah, you can see them there. See those print lines? So those print lines I thought would definitely keep it from getting a 10, so I'd be okay with it going down 1 grade for that. But yeah, they were rejected, so I didn't realize that they didn't do the PGC. He said sometimes, you know, if they can't verify, you know, like the source of like where these cards come from with the grading company themselves, they just don't accept all grading companies at the moment, which it could change in the future, but they don't at the moment. Anyways, that's it. That's my CGC submission. You can see, you know, some of the stuff that I did really good on, some of the stuff I didn't do as well on. But I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll try to have more grading videos a little bit longer, kind of like this going forward. I realize that it's sometimes it's pretty boring just listening to me, but I hope you guys like the shorts. I'm going to have more of those coming out. If you don't like those, just ignore them. Sorry for all the notifications. They are going to be consistently coming out now, as long as martial law is willing to continue to do them, because I've got a lot of old content. Some videos, I mean, there could be several shorts coming out of. Some of it I get excited about. Some of it, you know, doesn't excite me as much, but excites other people. So there should be a decent variety, not just the openings. But hope you guys have a great week, and I'll try to I have some more videos coming out very soon. If you have any questions about the product that I just showed, like if you want to make an offer, you're welcome to. Otherwise, wait for it to come out on my eBay. Thanks.